Your Life in My Hands, A Junior Doctor's Story by Rachel Clarke. Narrated by Cassie Layton. Prologue. A red dirt road steeped in ruddy dawn light and the faintest mutter of guns. The first refugees hazy in the distance, slowly bearing down on the town. Women and children leading the retreat. Bin bags and mattresses balanced upon heads, babies swaddled tight to adult hips. They crossed a facade of buildings peppered with bullet holes, impassive and mute, looking past us. My cameraman and I couldn't believe our luck. The juxtaposition of gentle morning light with the ugliness of war. It was television gold, and we knew it. Before I became a doctor, I turned people's lives into films for a living. I was a journalist, producing and directing current affairs documentaries like this one about the civil war in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It was 2003. The conflict, described by Prime Minister Tony Blair as a scar on the conscience of the world, had already claimed 5 million lives, most of which were civilian. Bunia, the battered town into which we'd flown a few days earlier, was widely regarded as the heart of the slaughter. Rape and brutalities were commonplace. Only a month before our arrival, 500 townsfolk had been butchered by militiamen armed with machetes. The town's makeshift tented hospital was still filled with amputees, the youngest of whom was 7. Even as the pace of the displaced began to quicken and the rumble of guns grew more insistent, I couldn't resist keeping the camera rolling. The crowd began to jog and then to scatter. Bedding and possessions were dumped in the dust. Children started to wail. Defeated militiamen now joined the civilians, armed with AK-47s, yet in flight and disarray. As the army from which they fled finally burst through the trees, all at once we came under their incoming fire. The air hummed with bullets. We stampeded for the only safe place in town, the United Nations Peacekeepers compound with 6,000 refugees already crammed behind its razor wire. Inside the UN building, 20 or so journalists now cowered on a concrete floor as gunfire raged around us. Every grenade made the walls shake. We prayed they didn't have mortars. I was certain I'd be raped, then cut to pieces. I wished I knew nothing about Bunyan militiamen's preferred modalities of killing. I wondered if the man from Agence France Presse, against whom I was crushed, would mind if I held his hand for a moment. I longed to call my parents.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?